So those were highlights from the FIFA Club World Cup. Lionel Messi with that screamer. At age 37, he continues to do the mind-blowing things. I don't know if Ellie is for Messi or is for Cristiano. I really want to know. But you look more like a Cristiano person.
Yeah, you are right.
Okay.
I think for me, I always admire hard work. Messi is a natural, gifted, talented footballer. No doubt about that. That free kick he scored was stupendous. He didn't put too much effort into it. But Ronaldo is a player who has not been gifted as much as Messi has been gifted, but he's worked his way through to compete at that highest level with
You
him.
see the way Mahama Shaibu is watching.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like they say, Nipa idea or say.
I mean, these are two great players. They are two incredible players. They are two players that may take decades for the world to find other players who will match their quality.
Yeah.
The two of them. And the difference is, I feel there is a difference. I feel one is better than the other. I feel one has achieved more than the other. I feel one is more accomplished than the other. But the difference is not that much. But the argument made by the Ronaldo fans that Ronaldo is naturally gifted, and
Messi is naturally gifted.
Sorry, Messi is naturally gifted,
Yes.
and Ronaldo puts in hard. I don't think that if Ronaldo is not gifted, if it's just about hard work, we will all sacrifice and be at his levels. Ronaldo is also gifted, and if Messi is also just about gift, then we have seen players that at the beginning showed a lot more promise. Even Ghana, we can mention names of players that showed more promise than Messi showed. I'm sure Jerry watched Neo Date Lamte.
Michael.
Awudu Isaka, the disco dancer. And these were players that, when they played at U17, I'm sure that you compare when they were 17 to Lionel Messi at 17, you could make an argument that they looked naturally talented.
Yeah, based on a
So
player.
both players have Messi. Ronaldo has talent. Messi has talent. Ronaldo puts in hard work. Messi puts in hard work.
There are difference to the talent. A player who has talent, gifted, you works a bit more of flair towards the football. He doesn't have to do too much to impose himself on the game.
I think
naturally,
it's
once he
just that
touches the ball,
Messi has a
you
lot
see the
more
difference.
flair than Ronaldo. Okay.
But
let me
there's discipline. You have to add the discipline aspect. Both players have been very disciplined, to last this decades
I see.
at the highest level. If you're not disciplined, the problem is our current generation, most of them are not very disciplined. And that is why they play few matches, good season, 2 seasons, and then they are going off because of lack of discipline. But these two
Let me
guys
take
are
the
very
opportunity to introduce Jerry Efriye Pemka, former editor, Kumasi Asante Kotoko Express, seasoned broadcaster. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning,
I see you
Michael.
are eager to add your voice to this conversation.
Yeah, Michael, I mean, when it comes to the issue of Ronaldo and Messi, it's always an interesting topic.
Yeah.
I don't know why, Ronaldo fans think that Ronaldo has gotten there because of hard work and Messi because of talent. I mean, without hard work, you can be the most talented person in the world and you will not get anywhere. Messi also put in a lot of hard work. The fact of the matter is that one is better than the other. You understand? It doesn't matter. It's a two contrasting styles. You understand? Messi plays football effortlessly. Ronaldo plays with a lot of strength. It's like Roger Federer and Nadal. Nadal plays with a lot of power. Federer plays with finesse. But it doesn't mean they don't work hard on the training, pitch, or they don't put in the extra efforts. It's about the style and whose style appeals to you more. You understand? And so I think that they are both great players, but I think, for me, I think Messi is the greatest. We've even seen players from Argentina who, when they emerge on the scene, you understand, had more talent than Lionel Messi, Ariel Ortega, and all those players. They've all, come to pass, but they never hit the heights. It requires hard work, discipline, and, a lot of things to get you to that level that they got to. And I think both players had talent, both players, hard work, both players were disciplined. It's just a matter of style. You understand? And then who you admire the most. And I think that from where I sit, I think that Messi has Messi's style appeals to me more. And I think that Messi was a better footballer.
Michael.
I see.
You know, see,
Messi was a better footballer than Cristiano Ronaldo. For Cristiano Ronaldo scored more goals than Messi. But in terms of
You know what someone did? The person posted, there was a third player, but I've forgotten the third player. But I remember Lukaku
Neymar.
very well.
Neymar.
Not Neymar. He posted Lukaku, posted Maradona, and then posted another player. They had all scored. Their goal tally was in the 300s, but Maradona had the least goals. I remember Lukaku's goal tally was around 314, and then Maradona was 311. Then he said that only Ronaldo fans will tell you Lukaku is better than Ronaldo. Is better than Maradona. Because their judgment of the greatest player is on just goals.
No, but what Jerry just said, Jerry said one player imposes more strength and more energy, more strength in this game compared to the other who is effortlessly doing the work. Okay. Now, based on even science, when you impose more effort or strength towards your work you do, you'll be drained faster than the person who is doing it effortlessly and relaxed. So that shows evidently that one is working harder in terms of training itself. And both, like he said, I mentioned this earlier, that both must be very disciplined to have sustained that level they've been at. But one is working extra harder. One is able to work on his jump, sustain the height of jump to head balls and score. That is hard work.
Okay. No, listen, let us not, think that the fact that you don't use energy or strength means that you are not doing. He's using more of the brain.
Yes.
You understand?
And that is why it's talent.
Using his brain.
If you're not gifted, you don't have the brain work.
Brain
work
is also training.
Drains more than, and that is why brain works pays you
physical
more than
strength.
the physical.
Yes.
But if you are not talented and gifted, how would you be able to use your brain to do things effortlessly? It means you've been gifted naturally to use your brain without putting too much effort in it.
So
and that is Messi.
Your hard work, your efforts, your effortlessness, and all of that is how they do it.
Yes.
So now let's look at what they do, they have done, what they have achieved.
The end product, the effects.
End product. Who do you think is better?
I think, like I said earlier, Messi is a naturally gifted, talented footballer, full of skills and flair. He entertains people with his style of play. When he holds onto the ball, it's beautiful. It's admirable. So he's blessed to have been able to play in such a manner, which is good.
Okay.
On the other hand, there's someone who puts in extra effort to try and sustain that level of competition. He, like I said, he's able to know how to jump and sustain his height in the air through continuous practice. Like they say, practice makes perfect. He wasn't gifted to be jumping and sustain himself in the air. No. Okay. He worked towards it to get that level. He's gone on to train on how to score goals. Okay. And he's done that effort. So comparing the two, one is doing the thing with the flair and the blessings he's come with. And doesn't need to work too much to arrive at that. The other person has to put in more to meet that level. And that is why I agree with Jerry that Messi is naturally blessed and a better footballer. But then for Ronaldo to work extra to be competing at that level deserves some credits and applause as well.
So you admit that Messi is a better footballer.
Yes.
But do you think that we also need to appreciate
Ronaldo? He deserves the laurels because he's also worked hard to compete at that level continuously.
The lead council has admitted, but the supporting council, I'm sure, will be more difficult to deal with. Rama Kubaja, I know you want to add. Your lead council has conceded. Will you concede too?
I think that's his own opinion. I've always been saying that these two players are different players altogether. Okay. I'm honored and privileged to watch Lionel Messi.
In fact, each one of us is privileged to watch these.
Those are always the words.
Yes.
Trying to.
But you see,
let me just say something. Let me make a prophecy. You end up saying he doesn't want to compare the two of them.
Okay.
Just watch. You end up saying he doesn't want to compare.
You see, for me, whatever you said, I will still pick Ronaldo ahead of Lionel Messi. Okay. That's my own opinion. That's what I see. Because a footballer who can take care of himself to be where he is, even compete in a league that a lot of people were say it is a retirement league. We saw what Al Hilal came into this FIFA Club World Cup and what they are doing. When you look at their match against Madrid, you understand that the competitiveness of the league, you cannot take it away from their play. And as I said, Ronaldo, for me, as I see it, will stand tall ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo. You might bring the conversation of the FIFA World Cup. You might bring the conversation of winning a lot of cups for Argentina. But what Cristiano Ronaldo has done in club football and national team football,
Roman, let me. I want to. I want to get something clear.
Messi.
Are you judging or measuring the competitiveness of the Saudi league on the basis of Al Hilal drawing against Real Madrid? Is that what you are saying?
Because
I heard you say something, but I just want to be sure that's what you said.
Prior to that competition, the FIFA Club competition, a lot of people were saying that, it's a league for retirement players,
Okay.
it's a league for the money.
But once they were able to hold Real Madrid,
yes,
you think it tells that the league is very competitive?
Very, very competitive. The level of
Botafogo
play,
beat the European champions.
you see, yes, I understand. For that one, you can make an assessment. But
So is the Brazilian league more competitive than the European league?
Oh, it's not more. I'm saying the Saudi Pro League is more competitive. I can say that Brazilian league is more because in this FIFA Club World Cup, I think the clubs who are from they are yet to taste the defeats. Even Flamengo beat Chelsea.
So it means that then so the Brazilian league is better than the EPL, better than the La Liga.
No, I'm not saying it's better.
More competitive than the UEFA
I'm saying
Champions
it's
League.
competitive. I'm using the word competitive, but I'm not saying better.
Okay.
Even Benfica, when you watch River Plate and Benfica, look at the aggressiveness of the game.
Because
very,
this
very
same Al Hilal side were held by RB Salzburg to a goalless drawn game.
I'm saying from the angle of
Salzburg are coming from the Austrian league, which has just about 12 teams.
prior to that
But they
competition.
play in the Champions League every season.
Yes, prior to that competition, you can make an analysis and say that the Saudi Pro League is maybe a retirement league. Players who are not that up there go there to play.
Well,
but if they can come from their
Al Hilal have not won the match in the competition. But you have a club from the MLS that has won the match.
No, but what Rahman is saying is that this is judging with Madrid's exposure. Okay. Because if Madrid, with 10 men from the first half, from 8 minutes, have been able to beat Pachuca from Mexico by 3-1, it was as if they were playing against 11-11, equal battlegrounds. Yes. But for Al Hilal to have held them and prevent them from even scoring a goal, scoring more goals, it means that the Saudi team is of essence in terms of pedigree as well. And that is why he's judging it by so it's not far-fetched.
So for me, whatever you said, I'll still pick, for me, my opinion, Cristiano Ronaldo.
I'll come to you, but I see Derry has a quick reaction.
Okay, let me say first of all that regarding Ronaldo and Messi, I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to see both of them live, but I watched Argentina and Nigeria in 2010 World Cup in Ellis Park, South Africa, and then I watched Ghana, Portugal, and Cristiano Ronaldo in Brasilia. Yeah, so at least I know I have the privilege to have seen the two players play live. But coming to the substantive issue, I think
I've also had the opportunity to watch the two players.
You've also had the opportunity to watch it in Qatar. Okay. There is a problem with the FIFA 4-year point system that has made the Europeans not put their best foot forward. Why do I say that? If you look at the 12 teams representing Europe, you realize that the champions of England are not there. The champions of Spain are not at the World Cup. The champions of Italy are not at the World Cup. 2 of the teams that made it to the semi-finals of the Champions League are not there.
Okay. Arsenal
are also not there. You have a lot of sleeping giants. Juventus had a terrible season. They are there. Atletico Madrid. Salzburg, I think, were one of the teams that had the poorest run in the European competition this season. You know,
they could not win the Austrian.
If you look at the two teams in Portugal, the 2 teams from Portugal, Benfica and Porto, they were not the winners in the Portuguese Primeira Liga. It was Sporting Lisbon, and so as a result of the criteria, you know, football fans have been robbed of the likes of Lamine Yamal and Gyökeres and a lot of stars who were the stars of the season in Europe, this time around. So I think
Mohamed Salah,
and all of them.
Saka.
So I think UEFA, they don't joke. I know definitely they will bring the issue up so that they can have a system whereby on the year of the tournament, the confederation themselves will decide, okay,
can
so
have
the winners,
the impressive teams.
yes, the winners of, let's say,
Chelsea will not
or
win Champions League
the
3-4
semi-final
seasons back, and that will qualify them
qualify
for
them to
Club
play at
World
the
Cup.
Champions League. In fact, the only one of the European sleeping giants that's not at the tournament is Manchester United. All the sleeping giants are the ones who have qualified, and the teams that were the star performers, bar PSG and let's say Inter Milan, most of them. So Europe are not, currently the best teams in Europe are not the ones there. And so I would not even be surprised if a South American team wins this competition.
Michael, you cannot eat your cake and have it. It's this same criteria that has brought 4 clubs from one country, Brazil. And all these 4 teams, someone will be wondering, why is that of all the countries in the world, Brazil alone is bringing 4 teams from that tournament, for the tournament.
And they are all coming from even one city, Rio. These are the Rio de Janeiro big boys.
Now, this is because they've all, in the last 4 years, all these 4 clubs have won the Copa Libertadores. So it means that, like you're saying, Chelsea won it 4 years ago. Bayern Munich have not even won the Champions League in recent times.
Yeah.
But because of their consistent performance in the Champions League, they are there. So some criteria benefit others more than the others. And it's just fortunate that the South Americans are benefiting from this, but the Europeans are not. And you can't fault FIFA for this, because
Even
this
in
tournament is
Africa,
every 4
where
years.
are the African champions? Pyramids.
They just but before now, where were they?
But
In recent
you-
times.
but if you're
So I
talking about-
realize
if you're
they made
talking
a-
about
they made
the
a
World
slot-
Cup,
they
you
made
want
a
to
slot
have
for
the
the
best
American
teams in the
champions.
world.
A slot was reserved for the American champions, which was Los Angeles. They had to win and then go on to play a playoff before they had a chance of qualifying.
Yes.
So I
Because
think it would have made sense
No,
if a slot was also reserved for the African champions to also fill in.
No, but for the Americans, they wanted the host cities to have a team representation there, just to pull the fans into the stadium. So that criteria is a bit more reserved for that compared to the African champions.
The criteria is problematic. Very, very defective.
Ellie, do you not think that Jerry is bringing up an interesting point? Now, let's look at the African representation. And it is the same for the rest of the world. Pyramids have won the CAF Champions League in 2025. There is a Club World Cup in 2025. Their winning of the Champions League this season will qualify them for a tournament that will be played
In
4 years
time.
later. It is possible that in the next 4 years, Pyramid
Could
would
be
have been
relegated from the
It
Egyptian
is
top
possible
flight.
that Pyramid as a club would unfold.
Cease to exist.
Will cease to
Same applies to
exist.
PSG.
But that is the club that is representing Africa. They may be because Pyramids, this is the first time they are playing in the final of the Champions League. They may dip in form, they may not be the same level of investment, and Pyramid may not be the same as they are today. But they will be the ones representing Africa. If this should continue, like Jerry mentioned earlier, is it not going to take away from the excitement the championship is expected to produce? So that today, I do not think there is any player who is more talked about than Lamine Yamal. I do not think there's any player who is more exciting. His club was in the semi-final, his club won the league, but we are deprived of the privilege of watching this guy.
Okay, Michael.
Not just the Lamine Yamal case, but I mean, having to
to-
qualify over a 4-year period.
To answer your question, would you like to watch a team that does not have a fan base or an unknown club at the FIFA Club World Cup? Would you want to watch a team, an unknown team at the FIFA Club World Cup? Would you want that?
There are some unknown teams here.
Like
Auckland.
Auckland is a very popular team in New Zealand. They've won their continental trophy, and they've even gone to external competitions like Japan and others. We even win competitions there.
So,
regardless
but-
of this, the kind of the caliber of players they have in their fold, part-time players. Yes. So I'm saying this based on the fact that FIFA does not want a case where you're bringing unknown teams. Just imagine Ipswich comes to the EPL back in the next 4 years. They come to win the English Premier League. Ipswich, who do not have more than 10 million, not up to even 5 million supporters. Now they come and they win the EPL and they qualify for the FIFA Club World Cup. They come. How many people will be willing and eager to watch Ipswich play against a Korean giant? You see, so that also reduces the patronage of the competition. FIFA wants the best of clubs who have made their presence known in the world to come and perform. So Man City, for the last years,
this
have been
format-
winning
this
and have
format you
won.
are- This format you are mentioning qualifies teams from their domestic league to the UEFA Champions League, which is about the most prestigious, the most exciting club football tournament. Not There are clubs that have them. I mean, if there's a club, let's say Nottingham Forest,
Yeah.
if they should have finished, we know they've won the Champions League on 2 occasions, but in recent times they've not been among the big
Yes.
boys in England. If they had finished among the top 5 teams in England, they would have played in the Champions League. But it is about the current form. Are they playing well now? Are they generating some excitement now? As against a club that will qualify and play 4 years after qualification.
And that's why I'm saying that you cannot guarantee that team that is winning have built the caliber and reputation enough to represent at the highest level. It's not guaranteed.
I don't think the Club World Cup is about your reputation or your
It's
caliber.
a mondial.
It's about
It's the biggest platform.
your success.
Yes.
You understand? You said Auckland are popular, yes, in New Zealand. Or where? Oceania.
Yes.
At most, they might probably be known somewhere in Asia. Even Mamelodi Sundowns. Mamelodi Sundowns is not a very popular club like Kaizer Chiefs or Orlando Pirates in South Africa. But everybody has supporters.
In the last 4 years, they've won their league
I don't think
continuously.
qualifying to the World Cup has anything to do with your fan base. It's purely about the points you made over in the course of the competition. You understand?
Yeah.
Over the last 4 years. And I think that if a team will qualify and play in 4 years' time, in 4 years' time, the team might not be the same team that has qualified.
No, but Jerry,
and that is what we are seeing now.
Jerry,
You understand?
a quick one,
That
Jerry.
is what has made it look. Europe has 12 teams at the competition, but they have a lot of their teams, the performers, best performance this season, not there. But teams that were performing 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and have now dipped in form are the teams that is what is being served to the world as the best clubs in the world. Meanwhile, at the moment, we know that these are not the best clubs in the world.
Jerry, if you're winning continuously over 4 years, obviously you're building your fan base.
You cannot win. It is only in Africa.
Man City,
You see,
when was Man City? Man City didn't have as much fan base like
yes,
before,
Man
but
City
in
has
recent
not won the
times,
Champions
over
League for
4 years,
4
they've won the
years.
league, the Premier League, 4 times in a row, and that has generated a huge fan base for them across the world.
It is just fair that I'm closing the chapter on this one. Let me allow Muhammad Shaibu to also share his thoughts on the issues.
Well, for me, I find it shocking about the sort of ranking that is going to put Salzburg ahead of the likes of Barcelona and so on in
Arsenal.
And Arsenal. I didn't want to mention Arsenal because we hadn't played in the competition for a while, and then we came back last year. We made it to the quarterfinal, and then last year and just the next season we made it to the semifinal. I still think, despite the fact that we haven't played in the competition for a while, when you look at the 4 years duration that they are talking of, we haven't played in 2 of the 4 years. But even playing the semi-final and also playing the quarterfinal, I think it's more effective than Salzburg, who have made it to the competition on countless of occasions. And anytime that they go, they have to pack their bags in the group stages. So for me, I don't really understand the criteria very, very well. And then, like my senior man Jerry was saying, that
when people ask me, I find it difficult to explain to them.
yeah. So like my senior man Jerry was saying, that the criteria does not give us the chance to watch one of the best teams in the world. Currently, when you want to talk of the best teams currently in world football, if you want to mention the best 10 teams currently in world football, you can't go past without mentioning Liverpool. You can't go past without mentioning Arsenal. You can't go past without mentioning Napoli. You can't go past without mentioning Barcelona. You can't go past without mentioning Leverkusen. But all these teams are not playing the competition due to the fact that someone had won the Champions League 3 years ago, and the person had to play in this maiden or new format of the Club World Cup. And also, you look at a club like Salzburg that I was talking of. I can't think of any form of criteria that would put Salzburg ahead of Arsenal or ahead of Barcelona.
Ahead of these teams.
I can't think of any criteria.
Absurd.
And the Salzburg that we are even talking of, this Salzburg team, I can't remember the only time that they even made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. It's always the group stage and then they're out of the competition. And even their league, the league that they play in, is not as competitive as we see in other countries. So for me, I think this competition, the new format, is something that FIFA will have to look at because it's actually taking more of the joy away, and that even goes to play a role in how the competition is being patronized. Because there are some games that you watch and then even up to 40% of the stadium capacity is not being able to fill by the class because the giants are not there. Real Madrid is there, fine. But I believe that if the likes of Liverpool were over there, it would have added more joy to the competition. Although so far so good, it's been a fine competition, and there are some of the mistakes that were made last year at the Copa America that are not being repeated this year. Yes, still, I still think after this year's edition, due to the fact that FIFA has brought this new format, the 4-year format, The previous Club World Cup has been squashed out. We are now going to play an Intercontinental Cup. And that was what Real Madrid played just recently in December, and then they were able to win. So after every 4 years, we are going to have the Club World Cup. But if this strategy, or if this, should I say formula, format is what we are going to use to pick up the teams going to play in the competition, then I don't think it is going to serve the purpose that you want to serve, which is the joy and entertainment. So I think FIFA will have to look at this format and then make some corrections, because this doesn't actually tell the whole picture. This doesn't bring all the giants that you want to see come to play at what we term as a festival.
Michael, a little bit on saying Salzburg, imagine Salzburg are playing ahead of us now, ahead of Barcelona. Now, every country is supposed to bring 2 clubs. So in England, it is only 2 clubs who are representing. That's Manchester City and Chelsea. You cannot add any club from that league to make it 3. So apply to Spain. So if Madrid is coming, it's Atletico Madrid. So no matter how Barcelona perform, you cannot substitute maybe some club like Salzburg because of FC Barcelona. Because every country is bringing 2. So now if you are basing on this analysis...
Brazil have Botafogo, Fluminense,
it is
Flamengo.
a point system.
Yeah, no,
so
for
UEFA,
England...
no, listen, the UEFA points, the criteria, that had Salzburg ranked, I think, the 12th in UEFA competitions the last 4 years, based on their performance. You understand? It's what qualified them there.
Because in England, already England has Chelsea and Manchester
City.
So I don't think
the ranking puts Chelsea and Man City in the top 12 already.
Yes,
it is not because they had only 2 countries there. That is why.
When you go to Brazil, they have Botafogo. They have Fluminense, they have Flamengo, and Palmeiras playing the competition. And I don't think FIFA will make any law that is going to be special. That is going to only specially apply to those in Europe.
Mama, you see why we say the thing is come. Even now we
because what I read.
Look, let's come home and touch on some of the happenings here on the local front. There's a headline on Ghana Web which says GFA imposes transfer ban on Hartlepool over unpaid $70,000 debt to New Edubiase. And when I mentioned this topic offline, who said Ofano Oto Ntiaka? You mentioned it. Okay. So I'll read a few paragraphs from the write-up on Ghana Web. It says Accra Hearts of Folk has been slapped with a transfer ban by the Ghana Football Association for failing to pay 70,000 USD to New Edubiase United FC as earlier directed. The debt stems from the transfer of player Abdul Salim Adams after the club missed the payment deadline of May 31, 2024, leading to the ban. The ban is in line with Article 15(1)(c) of the GFA Disciplinary Code and was triggered after Hartlepool missed the final deadline of May 31, 2025 to settle the amount. Hartlepool had previously acknowledged the debt and met with New Edubiase United in March to resolve the issue amicably. However, the club ultimately failed to meet the agreed upon terms as demanded by New Edubiase United, leading to the transfer ban. According to Joy Sports report on June 22, 2025, Hartlepool had asked Edubiase to write off the debt in March meeting because the expected outcome for the transfer of Salim had gone wrong. The Phobians were expected to make about $1 million from his transfer to Cincinnati, but unfortunately, he could not make the cut and had to return to the country. Prior to his departure, the club had agreed to pay New Edubiase United 120,000 USD for permanently signing the player, but paid only 50,000. So, in summary, Hartlepool bought Salim from New Edubiase, that's Abdul Salim Adams, and from the Czechs, there was a likely deal to happen with Cincinnati. The player was likely to be transferred to Cincinnati. So on the basis of that, Hartlepool agreed to sign the player for $120,000 from New Edubiase. The player went to Cincinnati on an initial loan. And after the loan, the club did not activate the option to sign him on a permanent deal. So he returned to Heart to Folk. Heart to Folk had already paid 50,000 out of the 70,000 USD. And according to the Joy Sports report, which is captured in the story by Ghana Web, the Football Association has slapped Heart to Folk with a transfer ban after there was an agreement for Heart to Folk to pay the remaining $70,000 before May 31, 2025. In fact, we don't have too much time. That coupled with the appointment of Masood Didi Dramani. I think we can do 5 minutes each. And I'll start with you, Rahman Kubaja.
I think it's a bad business for Accra House of Folk. They need to include, you need to anticipate whatever will happen, especially when it comes to this particular transfer. You cannot put it at the back of your mind that Salim Adams is moving, initial loan. At the end of the day, Cincinnati will sign him permanently. You need to understand that anything can happen. After the loan, they can decide not to sign him. Like how Sancho and Chelsea do. There was a contract that Chelsea should sign him at the end of his contract, at the end of the loan. But if Chelsea want to take themselves out, they need to pay £5 million. So you can bring a certain conversation around the Salim Adam transfer that we know that it is not guaranteed that he is going to sign for Cincinnati. If that did not happen, this is what is in the contract and this is what we are going to apply to. But they have the anticipation that, oh, he's going to sign and more cash is going to come at home. And it did not happen. Now you find yourself to blame. And I think Accra House of Folk need to learn something.
But do you think Edubiasi should soften their grounds? The Phobians are saying that the anticipated deal did not happen.
Yes.
So we have already given you $50,000, which, I mean, for the local market is good money because this was around 2023, 2023-2024 season, where the dollar was around 13, 14, 15 cedis. So it's good business. They have made over 600,000 cedis from the transfer. Do you think Edubiasi should soften?
New Edubiasi in the first stage, the Cincinnati is from America, so they knew that cash is coming home. But it did not happen. So I think from the side of New Edubiasi, they need to understand that. Look,
they need to understand
that. Yes. It is not something that we are expecting, assuming that Salim Adams has signed for Cincinnati.
But do you also appreciate that if Heart to Folk had sold Salim Adams to Cincinnati for $1 million, they would have still paid New Edubiasi just a balance of 70,000?
That's another question. But for me, I knew that Accra House of Folk would pay. They will pay. But it did not happen. So they find it difficult. Where are they going to get the cash? So they find it difficult to get the cash. But now, Marcel Didi Dramani coming to Accra, so I think for the first time, the board members and also the club owner have listened to the good people who are supporting Accra House of Folk. It's good to be a listening person. And they've been shouting on the doorsteps of these people that we need a new coach. I think Ouattara is not that bad coach, but looking at the modern style of football, looking at now football has branded itself, and you need to have a coach who understands the footballing game very, very well. And for me, I've said it last 2 seasons, if it is supposed to be any coach that finish Accra House of Folk in that battle relegation for you to beat Bechim United before you survive, if it's supposed to be any coach, that coach will be sacked at the end of that particular season. But Ouattara is a lucky coach, and getting an opportunity to coach Accra House of Folk last season, just end the season, as again justify himself that, look, it's not what people are thinking to be. Bettering his performance comparing to the previous season and finishing Accra House of Folk in the top 4 of the Ghana Premier League. I think it's a thumbs up for Ouattara. And as it stands now, I think they've given him the technical directory role to take it or leave it and go back to his country. But Masoud Didi Dramani taking over is someone who understands the modern game. He's a listening coach. He's a very good communicator. He has worked beyond the continent of Africa, go to Northern to coach them. So he understands the brand of football that we are talking about. And when you look at what Accra House of Folk are doing, getting the young exuberance players to get to play in that kind of system that we want to see them play, talking about that kind of exciting football, I think there is no other coach in our system than Masoud Didi Dramani. He is a national team asset. He's a national asset. He has coached the national team, talking about being assistant of the Blaster. So getting him to coach Accra House of Folk, I think is a right step in the right direction. The question that I'm asking the good people of this club is that they need to set a good environment for Masoud Didi Dramani. I listened to what Toby told
And
Samuel
what will make up for that good environment?
I listened to what Toby told Samuel Bodu, that we are giving the team to you. We are rallying behind you. After winning everything domestically, what happened to Samuel Bodu? So when I'm talking about creating a decent environment, I'm talking about what happened to Samuel Bodu. So they need to create a decent environment for him to flourish.
And that'll be the next line of conversation, maybe tomorrow. That there are some that have questioned the decision to part ways with Ouattara because they feel that Hearts of Oak have parted ways with Ouattara at a time where he's doing better than he's done in the past. He won his last 4 matches. You look at where Hearts of Oak finished off last season and where they placed this season. And I went back to the days of Kenichi Yasuhashi, the point where they sacked Kenichi Yasuhashi, the point where they sacked David Duncan when he was performing and picked out to folk from the bottom ranks of the Premier League table to second position. He was sacked. And recently, we can mention Samuel Boadu. So what is it with Hearts of Oak and the sacking of coaches when the coaches are rather doing well? But that will be a conversation for another day. Today, let's focus on the ban and then the appointment of Masoud Didi Dramani. But
that is not peculiar to Hearts of Oak. Chelsea have also done it.
Let's do a few.
Tottenham, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. We'll do a few messages and then I'll go to Mahama Shaibu. This one says, Mr. Host, Messi is your best player. Ronaldo is someone else's best player. There can't be a middle ground when it comes to who is the best player amongst the 2 great players, Ronaldo and Messi. Okay, I appreciate that. This one says, undoubtedly, Lionel Messi is the greatest of all time. This message reads, good morning, Michael, to you and the team. You need to understand that Ronaldo is the greatest. I'm saying this because you and I know that Messi is gifted, but Ronaldo is hardworking and also putting in an effort person. But you, Michael, there is no way you would accept this fact because of the love you have for Barcelona. This message is coming from Samuel Clinton. Good morning, Metro Sports. We understand you assembled Messi fans to underrate CR7. Cristiano Ronaldo, in fact, it's balanced. It's 2-2. Just that Eli is a Ronaldo fan who admits that Messi is a better player. But Mahama and Jerry are fans of Lionel Messi. Eli and Rahman Kubaja are fans of Cristiano Ronaldo.
You're using your own words to ascertain that I admit that he's a
But
better
you
player.
mentioned.
You said you were
I use criteria.
Okay.
I use criteria.
Okay. He goes ahead to say Cristiano Ronaldo has made his mark everywhere he's played. That alone is a billion gap Messi cannot fill. CR7 has seen it all. He's the GOAT of the world. Maybe Messi is a GOAT for his fans. Wellington from who? Referee Suagati says, okay, retired referee Suagati says, good morning, Michael. I think I cannot write that long, but we'll be happy if I am called on. Okay. Let's know what you want to talk about, and then we'll see about that. This one says, hello, good morning, Sir Mike, the great guys. Greetings to your panelists in the studio. I believe Jerry has said it all. Messi is still Messi, and no one else in the world of football. From Great Jabati, Gan West. Okay, Great Jabati. Coach Ebenezer Sifa has sent your blue sheets back to London. This one says that, please, good morning. My name is Agos Theophilos. Please, I'm looking for a football team. Please, can you help me? Okay, I don't know. Are you a footballer and looking for a team where you can have the opportunity, or you want to buy a team? I'm not too sure what you mean. He says, why is the host trying so hard to impose his favorite player on everyone? Messi is your best player. Ronaldo is someone else's best player. Okay, I think this message was also on WhatsApp, and so it's been read already. CR7 never left the national team because of trophy. CR7 plays with the team, but Messi plays for and by the team. Okay, Messi is played for by the team. PR work is making CR7's work less. Imagine Messi won a trophy this year. Okay. Mama Shaibu, let me come to you on how to focus on their issues. Transfer ban, Masoud Didi Dramani's appointment.
Well, I would first like to touch on the appointment of Didi Dramani.
Okay.
And any person or everyone who knows me knows that I've always been critical and I've always been skeptical about Coach Abubakar Ouattara. But you look at what he was able to do with Accra Hearts of Oak last season. For me, many would say that they had wanted Accra Hearts of Oak to win the league. And that would have been what they would have termed as success or a good season for the club. But in my books, I don't think the House of Folk team was a team that was prepared to win the league title. I don't think the House of Folk team was better than the Bibiani Gold Stars team. Neither do I think they were better than the Heart of Lions or the Asante Kotoko team. Where Abubakar Ouattara was able to finish with the club was where I think the club deserved to finish, based on the caliber of players that they had. This is a team that goes on to sign new players at the end of every season. At the end of every season, they part with so many players, then they bring in new players. And then it's very difficult if you want to build a very, very good team when all you always do at the end of every season is to sack players. It's very, very difficult. No team, I've never seen any team being able to win something by using that sort of formula. And then you look at the players that they brought for Abubakar Ouattara. Most of these players were players who were playing in their maiden season in the Ghana Premier League. Someone like Collison, he was playing in his maiden season. Hussein was playing in his maiden season. Sani, who departed to Denmark, was playing in his maiden season. So majority of these players were playing in their maiden season. So it's very difficult for them to be able to match up with the guys who have been playing in the league for a while. Look at the Kotoko team, for instance. You had someone like Frederick Asari, who has been there for 3 seasons. He played for Accra Lions. You had someone like Albert Amua, you have someone like Kwame Puku. These are experienced guys. Then you go to Out of Lions, you have the likes of Ruben Yenison, Ebenezer Aban, Lawrence Ej, and so on. Then Bibiani Gold Stars, the likes of Roland Frimpong, the likes of Sadat Mohamed, the likes of Samuel Atakumi. All these are guys who have played for a long time for their club. So it's very easy for these clubs to be able to bond and play very well than Accra House of Oak. So Accra House of Oak finishing in 4th place, for me, was not disappointing. That is where I believe the club deserves to finish. And I don't think it's a good way to part ways with Coach Abubakar Ouattara. Now, appointing Didi Dramani, I think it's a...
But the club has not parted ways with
all right.
Ouattara.
So I take
From
that
what
back.
we are hearing,
All
he's
right.
been promoted. I don't know whether you would consider that promotion, but he will now take up the role of technical director.
So the reason why I even said the club has parted ways with him is because of the half-baked communication that we saw online. So now, on Didi Dramani, I think he's a very, very good coach. This is a coach who has seen it all in Ghana football. He has won multiple trophies with Asante Kotoko. He has managed most of our juvenile teams. Just recently, he was the head coach of the Black Galaxies, although they were unable to secure the ultimate, which was to qualify for the CHAN competition. But this is a known figure in Ghana football. When it comes to player recruitment too, he has that sort of skill set because he has been with Northland and he has been with Right to Dream. And when we want to talk of the teams that have been able to produce players over the years, then Right to Dream is one club that we have to look up to. And then we can't shower our probation on Right to Dreams without showering any on Coach Didi Dramani. So I think he's a very good coach. He has a very, very good philosophy. And him coming to Accra as a folk and looking at the young players that they have in their team, I think he's going to do a very, very good job with the club. But where I have issues with is they have big communication from the club. It's good. You announce that Didi Dramani is now coming in to be the new head coach of the team. But what happens to Abubakar Ouattara? Is he now going to be the kids manager? Is he now going to be the Mazua? What is he now going to serve at the club? Are you parting ways with him? I think this should have been in the communication that the club sent out on Friday. So the club failing to do this has made people starting to create a lot of assumptions. I've seen people of different opinions about where Abubakar Ouattara is going to be. Some have said he has been sacked. Just a few minutes ago, I heard Kubaja said he's been sent to, he's now going to be the technical director. I've also heard that they say a lot of things about him. So I think the club will have to come clear on where Abubakar Ouattara is going to serve, whether they're parting ways with him, whether he's now going to be the kit manager or whatever it is. So we'll have to hear that from the club. Now, on the final issue, which has to do with the ban of the club, it's very difficult because I have one senior colleague who once shared a story with me about how they also feel similar thing with a player. They had transferred the player to a foreign club outside, a club in Spain. And they had agreed with the club's player that they were going to pay them so and so amount of fee. When the player got to Spain, the player woke up one morning and said, God has called him, that he can't play football anymore. He's now going to be a pastor. At the end of the day, the guy stopped playing football. And the club that I'm talking of, they went on to pay the money that they had promised the club that the player was coming from. So it's unfortunate for Accra as a folk that Salim Adams didn't get to make way into the first team of Cincinnati. However, an agreement remains an agreement. And per what I even read, despite the fact that the player did not reach or the player did not fulfill the sort of elevation or the sort of what they envisaged that he would be able to achieve, they had reached an agreement with New ADBS, a new agreement on something that they were supposed to fulfill. However, they were unable to do so, and that is why the GFA came in. They made that ruling in May, and now Accra has been banned. So I think the only way out for Accra folk is to pay the $70,000. If they feel like they don't have that sort of that amount of money, I know the poor of New York understanding. This is not the first time that they've done business to Accra folk, and this is not going to be the last time that they'll do business to Accra folk. They can find a good way to go around this. So it's unfortunate that Accra folk have been suspended or have been banned from signing players at a time when they have a new coach in the name of Didi Dramani, at a time when they are looking into a new direction, a direction where we all feel it's a positive one, is going to yield good results. So I think Accra folk will have to settle this matter with New Edibiasi. Either they are going to pay the $70,000, and if they don't have that money, I think the right way is to Is to reach a good agreement with New Edibiasi and then make this sort of fulfillment.
Okay. Eli, your take on the matter?
This transfer issue, I think it's high time some of these our clubs start recruiting the top professionals in negotiation deals for them and other clubs. Like Rahman mentioned earlier, we also what happened in the issue of Man United and Chelsea, where there's a clause. And you see, there are professionals when it comes to drafting contracts. There are lawyers who are doing that. There are football experts who have also been schooled. And so you need to consider all of these parties when you are signing contracts with your club and other agents and parties. So Chelsea says, okay, well, we're taking your player on loan in Sancho. If we want to sign him, we'll sign him at an agreed fee. But if we don't want him, we'll return him back to you. But he says, no, if you're returning him back to us, you should pay us for using our player for a stipulated time of the season that you benefited from, even winning in the European Conference League. So you pay us in return £5 million. Now, what is in it for you? You have nurtured a player, or you've gotten a player from a grassroots team in a Dubiasi or in a lower tier. You've brought him to your club. You've paid him salaries to play for you, and he's made an impact in your club. Now you want to send him on to Cincinnati in the US, who are earning more and are doing better in football. What is in for you if the club is not able to sign him? Is it just a loss? What do you gain from it? So all these things must be stipulated in that's why there are clauses in every contract that is signed with players and between clubs. Yeah. So if you're not able to keep my player, you compensate me, because after all, I have nurtured this player, I've spent money on this player, and I'm bringing him to you on loan, that with the hope that you sign him. But if in case you're not able to sign him, you still compensate me because he's my player. And that can also help you offset some of the debts that you have incurred by taking the player from another club. So it comes back to the point that the clubs in Ghana, all of the clubs, the big clubs like Hearts of Oak, should know better. Start recruiting top professionals who can help you execute contracts that would prevent you from finding yourselves in situations like this going forward. And that's the most I can say about it, because I feel it was a bad business, and you can't be incurring losses on players that you have invested in or on. Now, away from that, let's talk about Didi Dramani's appointment. It's a good signing, a good coach. He's achieved a lot on the local scene, coaching youth teams and coaching Kotoko, winning the league with Kotoko as well, and going abroad to study a lot more. But one thing I've realized with our local clubs is that most of our local clubs find it difficult, or local players find it difficult understanding the theory aspect of coaching. Yes, I'm very emphatic on this one. Okay. Our local players find it difficult understanding the theory aspect of coaching. I was in the forefront when Costa Papic returned to Hearts of Oak, and he complained bitterly about how players are not able to understand the strategies or the techniques he teaches them on the board before going onto the field of play. They seem to agree and understand in the dressing room, but when they get onto the field of play, they seem confused and they do something else. And that is where the theory aspect of coaching comes in. A coach will come in, bring a board, and says, well, I want you, number 3, to make diagonal runs into your opponent's box. I want you to be sending the balls across. And you are using theoretical football terminologies to explain to these local players who have not been exposed to higher level of education or higher level of football. So when you're talking this kind of theoretical tactics to these players here, they might not understand. And that was a problem Costa Papic suffered when he came and he failed. Now, Samawedu comes in and he says, well, I am also not vested at that level of using too much theories to teach football. He will show you the board, all right, and say, okay, well, on this board, I am putting this sticker here. I'm saying that you, in number 8, I want you to be moving into this area and play the ball. And he's adding the local language. So he's more of them imparting on them what I need you to do without necessarily putting too much mind on the theories and the terminologies in the football. And that helped when he came and he won the league, won the FA Cup and all of that. And I'm hoping that Masoud Didi Dramani would be able to appreciate both aspects of the theory and also imposing himself and using the common local language like he did in Kotoko. Say, okay, well, may he also be rounds, no? Number 6, just roam around the back 4 for me. And if you're able to at least get the players to understand what you want, they play for you very well. But if you want to now come and put the ball there and be teaching, because I'm sure that when he went to Nordjylland and Right to Dream, he had to inculcate himself into using the theories, using the board and the classroom teaching. And the classroom coaching does not work in our local football. The classroom coaching does not work in our local football. And you can see, Bibiani Gold Stars, who won the league for them? It was a local coach.
Yeah.
And even when Swatcherman did very well and went to Africa, these are all local coaches who find a way of putting the theories and the classroom things out on the side and say, well, let me come on that level, ground, let me come to the lower term for you and tell the players to do this. So Didi Dramani will have to do that, find a way of balancing both and get the best out of these players. These are young players. One of the days of Costa Popic when the players were a bit older and found it difficult to understand some classroom terminologies. But these are very young players at Hearts of Oak now that can be able to learn when he's teaching them. But he should be able to fuse all of these things and be able to get the best out of the players based on his exposure and get the team to performing once again. Because what they did last season, I think, was a fair reflection of how the team has grown from when they were almost relegated and all of that to 4th or 5th place. They've done very well this season. And I think if there's to be any continuation, they should maintain some of the players. The core of the team should be maintained. And Didi Dramani should be able to find a way of getting the players to play for him.
Okay. Jerry, in fact, I read the story and I'm like, who did this deal?
I think it's a master stroke by House of Folk getting Coach Didi Dramani.
Okay.
During my days at Kotoko Express, that was when he was at Kotoko. He won 2 league titles. He's a professional par excellence. Okay. You understand? He's a modern coach who knows the business of coaching using modern techniques. But for the sometimes unnecessary internal politics or politics at Kotoko, Coach Didi Dramani should have been in Kotoko for at least 10 years. He's like a Pep Guardiola. He's like a Jurgen Klopp. You understand? He's ahead of his peers. He's ahead of, all of them. That is why
Kofi Mensah Laimomo will be quick to tell you that he failed woefully with the local Black Stars. And that's his most recent job.
That is a completely different argument, a national side. Okay. A national side, you are restricted to some set of players. You understand? Yeah, that's why Jose Mourinho said he was not going to coach a national side until he's probably 60 or 70. But a club side, where you go on the training pitch every day to train the players, impacts your impose your personality, your ideas and strategy, your ideology and style of play. Not a national team that you are come 2-3 weeks, you break camp, you come once a month. No. This one, you are going there every day where you are with the boys and you are able to impact whatever you want to impact. You train them and a team is as good as the coach. You understand? He is a coach who is very meticulous when it comes to things like even attention to detail. You understand? Whoever was able to, I've always wondered why Coach Didi Dramani has not coached any local team since he left us Asante Kotoko. And then I understood. Because he's a high-level professional. And I know he will struggle to work with a lot of the local clubs because of the management style. You understand? Coach Didi Dramani didn't leave Kotoko because he performed poorly. Okay. He won 2 titles after 3 seasons. It was because another management came and thought that This one was
I
employed
think
by
he's the last
previous-
coach to have won the league back to back.
Yes, but he was appointed by the previous management, and so we think everybody who was associated with the previous management is, those useless internal politics we introduced in our game. If Kotoko had a consistent management or proper management, he would have been there not for less than 10 years. You understand? And I know because of the experience he had in Kotoko, that is why he himself decided to go chart the path he had. Because if it didn't work at Kotoko, then where will it work? You understand? But yes, I know at House of Folk, there's not too much politics there like in Kotoko. Kotoko is a pure political club. In the internal politics in that club is something else. And he'll be given the free hand and the resources, which is what House of Folk fans have been complaining about, the resources to sign quality players. Didi Dramani brought the likes of Michael Anaba, and he has that quality, of dealing with young talents. That's why I'm not surprised he was so successful at places like The Right to Dream, and because he has that ability to deal.
They had to folk to pay
deal
70,000 USD.
This is a very simple matter.
DBS.
I think the FA just applied the rules, but I think House of Folk has to fight it because of the circumstances surrounding the whole thing. It was a deal that did not go well. How does he fight it? There are two ways. Either they go into, negotiation, arbitration with New DBS for them to come to a gentleman's agreement on how to solve it amicably.
I think they have done that and it didn't work. The story tells that they met in March and House of Folk made the proposal that the guy was expected to move to Cincinnati. The reason we agreed to pay 120,000.
It didn't work.
So
there's a need for further talks to let them know that this is our position. We don't have the money.
But is it not surprising
we are making the
that House of
commitment.
Folk did not make use of the if clauses?
Yes, so that is what I'm saying. So either they go into the agreement or they fight it legally.
How do they fight it? If there are no if clauses, how would they fight it?
Yeah, because
And the if
we
clauses,
don't know.
maybe for our
Because
viewers who will not
one thing is that
okay,
we also don't
if
know
the deal
all
to
the details.
Cincinnati does not happen, we pay this amount.
Listen,
The story even says that
the
they had an
story,
agreement.
the story is
In
not
March,
the
and
agreement.
House of Folk didn't fulfill it.
The story is not the agreement. We have not seen all the details in the agreement.
Okay.
Maybe House of Folk might have a point because House of Folk is not a small club, that will draft an agreement and leave such a. So I'm sure they will definitely have something that they can also challenge. If they think that they have a case, they should fight it legally. It's two things. Either they see New DBS and say, look, we don't have the money. The deal did not go through. This is what we can afford. Yes, we are pleading with you. Take this and let's end it here. If it doesn't work, then they go the legal way and fight it.
Jerry, I know clubs in Ghana who use a contract template for all signings they do. So if they have a template and they are just editing it
They
and
just
to
put
sign
in the
other,
names.
Change the name.
the if clauses will be come to haunt them.
But
in case like this.
I don't expect House of Folk to.
That's why I'm gunning for the fact that they should learn to start recruiting the top professionals.
Because the
to be handling this
lawyers,
for them.
that has worked at House of Folk before, the administrators. I mean, when it comes to club administration in Ghana here, House of Folk, Ashford Tetioku, and all those people, lawyer Ernest Thompson, and all those people, Stephen Akwete. Look, they are the example of proper football administration. And most of the people who left Accra, so for giving, what's his name? Aite. Most of them left House of Folk and even be CEOs at other clubs when they were just even.
Is it Albert Comey? Yeah.
Yes, Albert Comey and all those who were, just middle or high or, they were not CEOs at House of Folk, but they left House of Folk to even be CEOs at other clubs. It was the breeding ground of football administration in Ghana. So I would be surprised that, such an elementary mistake will come from a club.
Thank you very much, guys.